You might think the Statue of Liberty is an indestructible solid statue. You're wrong. It is actually thinner than 2 dimes stacked together. A century ago, someone detonated the largest non-nuclear explosion in human history right at its feet, directly blasting bullet holes into the Statue of Liberty. But surprisingly, it didn't fall. Because it harbors a secret. This statue can actually move. When the wind blows, the entire body sways, the copper skin vibrates, and the torch shakes. Yet, for 100 years, it has never fallen. What's even more outrageous is, its face has absolutely no visible rivets. To make its skin smooth, engineers hid all the seams in invisible places. There's another thing you absolutely don't know. For this statue symbolizing American freedom, the funding came from the French, the design was done by the French, and even the construction workers were French. The only part the Americans paid for almost ended up as an unfinished project due to a lack of funds. Let's start with that explosion. In the early hours of July 30, 1916, less than 2 kilometers from the Statue of Liberty on New Jersey's Black Tom Island, a sky-obscuring massive explosion suddenly erupted. The 2 million pounds of munitions stored there were completely vaporized in minutes. The explosive yield was equivalent to a 5.5 magnitude earthquake on the Richter scale. Shrapnel flew into the sky, directly piercing the statue's copper skin, leaving it densely covered with bullet holes. According to everyone's intuition, the statue should have fallen at that moment. But it didn't. The reason is hidden inside its body, on those inconspicuous flat iron bars. The copper outer skin isn't directly welded completely solid onto the internal iron frame. Instead, it is connected through these bendable flat iron bars, acting just like springs. When the shock wave of the explosion hit, the copper skin vibrated violently, and the flat iron bars bent accordingly, absorbing the vast majority of the energy. The force transmitted to the iron frame was minimal. Simply put, the Statue of Liberty's skin can absorb shocks. This is the real reason why it never fell. This design is already 140 years old today, yet even now it remains a textbook example of engineering brilliance. But what's even more amazing is how this layer of copper skin was made. The outer skin of the entire statue is only 2.3 millimeters thick, thinner than 2 coins stacked together. How did such thin copper sheets manage to recreate the folds of the robes and the texture of hair with such fine detail? The answer starts with a Frenchman. His name was Bartholdi, the true visionary behind this statue. He initially just made a small clay sculpture 4 feet tall, and then needed to scale it up to 151 feet. This is a problem that would give any ordinary engineer a headache, because ordinary scaling methods would produce massive errors at this scale. Bartholdi's solution was called the plumb line method. He erected a plumb line grid outside the original model, using 3 X, Y, Z coordinates to precisely record the position of every key point. When scaling up, he multiplied all coordinate values by the corresponding factor, and then rebuilt the plaster bit by bit according to the new coordinates. He did this entire operation for 3 full rounds, each round scaling up from the last, and each round adding more details, until he produced the full-sized final plaster model. His studio couldn't possibly hold this behemoth, so the statue had to be cut into hundreds of pieces and stored separately. With the plaster model, the real skinning process could begin. Workers built wooden frameworks based on the plaster model, then laid thin copper plates on top and hammered from the inside, strike by strike, to achieve a shape that perfectly matched the model. Because it was hammered from the inside, the outer surface had absolutely no hammer marks. It was smooth and flowing, draping just like real robes. The French workers made a total of 300 such copper plates, which then needed to be assembled into a whole. This brings up the mystery about the rivets. Why can you see rivets on the clothes, but see absolutely nothing on the face? The secret lies in two different riveting methods. The copper plates on the clothes overlap, leaving the rivet heads exposed on the outside. From a distance, it's not a problem, but leaving an exposed rivet head on the face would severely ruin its aesthetic appeal. The engineers switched to countersunk rivets, adding an extra copper strip to completely hide the rivet inside. From the outside, you can only see a fine seam. The audience standing on the ground below could never possibly notice this difference. Yet, the engineers still chose the more labor-intensive method. It is exactly this obsession to make it the best, even if no one can see it, that achieved this face frozen in copper. The copper skin was ready. The next challenge was who would hold this skin up. The first engineer brought in was Eugène Viollet-le-Duc, but he passed away shortly after proposing his plan, without even leaving behind complete blueprints. So Bartholdi found someone else, a man who, a few years later, would build a Paris landmark out of iron, Gustave Eiffel. You might not know this, but the skeleton of the Statue of Liberty actually debuted earlier than the Eiffel Tower. Eiffel used 4 giant beams tapering towards the top to construct a slender central iron pylon, and then reinforced the whole structure with horizontal and diagonal tie rods, locking it with tie rods and the base. Simply by tightening the nuts, the entire iron skeleton merged seamlessly with the pedestal. The copper skin hung on the outside via flexible flat iron bars, allowing it to sway slightly to dissipate wind force. Experiments proved that a model connected with rigid rods could be knocked down by a single bullet. When replaced with flexible thin rods, the bullet's energy was absorbed by the skin's vibration, and the statue stood as tall as ever. But there was one final hidden danger here. Direct contact between copper and iron causes electrochemical corrosion, which could destroy the metals within a few years. Eiffel inserted shellac-coated asbestos sheets between the two, completely separating the two metals. This inconspicuous detail influenced her lifespan for over a full century. The statue was finished in Paris, but the United States almost couldn't receive it. The fundraising for the pedestal was severely delayed, bringing the project to the brink of abandonment several times. The turning point came from newspaper publisher Joseph Pulitzer. He launched a crowdfunding campaign in the New York World, simultaneously mocking the wealthy Americans who sat on fortunes but refused to donate, while printing the name of every single donor in the newspaper. This tactic thoroughly ignited the enthusiasm of ordinary Americans, eventually scraping together the $100,000. In June 1885, a French warship carrying 214 wooden crates slowly sailed into New York Harbor. Aboard was the disassembled Statue of Liberty. Because the pedestal wasn't built yet, these crates had to be piled up in a warehouse to wait. Only after the pedestal and the iron skeleton were completed did workers rivet the copper skins back onto the skeleton, piece by piece. The whole process was like assembling a giant jigsaw puzzle in mid-air. On October 28, 1886, Bartholdi stood inside the crown and personally pulled down the French flag draping the statue's face. The Statue of Liberty was officially unveiled to the world. When she was first built, she was the natural color of copper, a reddish brown. Over the following nearly 20 years, it slowly turned into the iconic green we see today. That green layer isn't rust. It is a stable coating formed by long-term reactions between copper, the oxygen in the air, moisture, and carbon dioxide. It actually protects the underlying copper from further corrosion. During the major restoration in 1984, workers replaced the decayed internal iron bars and the torch. The copper skin barely needed to be touched. Having survived the Black Tom explosion, 2 world wars, and countless hurricanes, including Hurricane Hazel, with wind speeds reaching 140 kilometers per hour, which made the torch sway 7 inches, she weathered it all. 140 years have passed, and this statue still stands in New York Harbor. Not because it is solid, not because it was forged in a single piece. Quite the contrary. It is precisely because she is thin, because she is soft, and because she can move that she has emerged unscathed from all impacts. Perhaps this is the most profound lesson she gives us. True resilience is never about rigidly holding on, but knowing how to bend.